Shalom, Yasharala. It's your brother Dawud Daw from GMS Tampa Bay 07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Waharakal Kadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can pushing this truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. I don't want to get into this here quick little lesson, touching on some scriptures, basically going into, how Apostle Tahar is saying that we should be in the spirit to do about 3 videos a day, basically it's not an order, but it's basically, that's, you should be, it should be burning inside of you to do this, it's just something that you just crave to do, and, I kind of, believe it or not, way back before I even knew about this truth, when I was first coming into all of this stuff, I was like, man, I want to, quit life itself and just become like a so-called full-time reporter, like a news reporter, more or less to say, and that's exactly what this is, just covering, researching, and covering and exposing the different atrocities and the wickedness that was going on in the world that I was soon to find out was Esau, and so, again, here we are again, it's nothing better to want to do than this, but of course, you got these things because we're in Babylon, you got to make sure you have a roof over your head and food coming in your mouth. So, there's certain things that, sometimes hinder us from being able to get there, but it's just still being your spirit to do these things, But nevertheless, I'm going to jump into some of these here scriptures that kind of just back up what Elder Apostle Tahar is going into, about pushing this here word. This is basically like the Most High is commanding us to do this, okay? And as we see Esau going harder, we should be going harder, with all the YouTube change-ups and everything. There's another new thing I just noticed on YouTube, They have, I don't know if it was, specific things or whatnot, but you listen to music on YouTube, certain music, I guess, I don't know, this is something new that just popped up, just the other day. They have a little pop-up that makes you confirm that you want to be able to listen to it because it says something about, like, harmful or hateful lyrics, and, that would typically be really any hip-hop song, But nevertheless, I've seen that also pop up on, another video, which was more or less a news type, broadcast, but, depending on what side of the fence you on, it could be, something, exposing somebody's atrocities, or it could be so-called hate speech, depending on, what side of the fence you on, So as we see Esau going harder, we should be going harder in the spirit, This is our spiritual warfare right now. This is us in the battlefield, We winning over many strongholds this way, casting down strongholds by this, This is how we battling it out, This is the actual spiritual warfare that we in right now, It's not really people, people are actually dying, more or less to say, but that's the judgment of the Most High. But this isn't a physical thing, We're not physically out there, when we say we cutting people up, Nobody has a blade and nobody's cutting nobody, Our metaphoric blade that we have is the scriptures, Like the scriptures say, the word is sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing asunder even to the splitting of the bone and the marrow, Basically, you being cut in the spirit, So, as they starting to go harder, we go harder, The warfare is getting more and more intense, You got more and more infantrymen on the field, more and more bullets starting to fly. Hey, man, it's time to lock and load, and hey, man, it's full-on warfare, Just like in those war movies when the shit hit the fan and people running and screaming grenade, that's how it need to be now, Every time Esau trying to take down one brother's page, he got to be like, shit, before I can even get that one down, it's another page up on fire, He should be scrambling left and right, feeling like he's surrounded, We should be flooding him with it. Nevertheless, we're going to jump into these here scriptures. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 2. I'm going to read chapter 2 and parts of chapter 3. This is Ezekiel, chapter 2. And he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. Okay, now here, Ezekiel is being a representation of what we supposed to be doing right here, right now, in this same time, okay? Now, when you read through Ezekiel, you'll understand that, especially like, Ezekiel 3, Ezekiel 9, Ezekiel 9 and 4, and things like that, So you'll understand this is also in his time, but also in our time, So we're reading this for our understanding of what our commandment is today. And it says, and he said unto me, Son of man, stand upon thy feet, and I will speak unto thee. And the Spirit entered unto me when he spake unto me, and set me upon my feet, and I heard him that spake unto me. Okay, it's the same way as, how when we came into this truth, the Most High spoke unto us, and then we heard his voice. The scriptures say, my sheep hears my voice, you know. And how did he speak to us? He spoke to us through the mouths of his prophets, all right? The eldermen of, you know, whatever camp, however you got into it. But, you know, now we, you know, up under GMS now, you know. And this was actually the mouthpiece, you know. Not saying that you couldn't, I mean, you know, from IUIC, you could have learned you was an Israelite, you know. And then, you know, but, you know, you get the full truth over at GMS, you know. That's what the Spirit is dealing with. But that's how, you know, we heard the Most High calling us, all right? And it says, and the Spirit entered into me when he spake unto me and set me upon my feet, and I heard him that spake unto me, okay? And you know, putting him on his feet, that's basically saying he built him up, you know, just like how we get built up through these videos and these lessons. And he said unto me, Son of man, I've sent thee to the children of Israel, a rebellious nation, that have rebelled against me, and they and their fathers have transgressed against me even unto this very day. So he sent Ezekiel the prophet, who was an Israelite, to his own people, the Israelites, okay, to tell them what was going on. For they are impudent children and stiff-hearted, and I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith Yahweh power. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall they know that a prophet have been among them. Okay? Whether they hear or whether they forbear, you know. This is why we on the highways and the byways sometimes, you know, and you see the brothers like, just get up the block, this ain't for you, you know, to our own people, you know. Or sometimes, you know, you tell a person and they don't want to hear it, then you just be like, to hell with them, you know. Let the righteous be righteous and let the wicked be wicked still, you know. Your job is just to tell them, you know, whether they're going to hear it or whether they not going to hear it, you know, because 2/3 got to feel their lot. They got to hear this and they're going to just reject it and keep it moving. All right. And it says, yet shall they know that there have been a prophet among them. Just like when Yahweh was on the scene and they was like, crucify him. But yet once he was crucified and then the veil ripped, the earthquake happened and all that, you know, and the voice came out of the heavens, hey man, they knew there was there was prophets among them letting them know what was going on and that they had crucified the Messiah, you know. Verse 6, and thou, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words, though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou dost dwell among scorpions. Okay? Be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. So basically the Most High is telling us, you know, and you know, you can only really understand this. The scripture here is when you pick up that plow and you go on the highways and the byways, you know. It says, fear not, be not afraid of them, you know, because basically they rebellious, they stiff-necked people, you know. You be on the highways and the byways trying to tell your people about the heavenly treasures they got coming to them or the death or the destruction they got coming to them, you know. But then they want to go and try to kill you, you know. They the ones, like back in the old days, you know, they the ones giving us death threats. You know, Esau not the one rolling up on us trying to kill us. It's, you know, the police who normally rolling around shooting so-called unarmed black men, you know, for just walking across the street. They don't want to come up and kill us, even though that we, you know, people say we inciting hate crimes and causing disruptions and stuff like that. They're not the ones trying to kill us. They're the ones actually, you know, pretty much on our side most of the time, you know. They come get called to the scene and they carrying somebody else off, you know. But it's our own people who's the ones that, you know, that want to come up against us, you know. But it says, verse 7, and thou shalt speak my words unto them, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are most rebellious. So the Most High saying, look, I don't give a damn if they want to hear it or if they don't want to hear it. You know, you're supposed to be pushing this here word, you know. And in certain circumstances, you might have brothers who might be new in this thing or something like that, and they might have a small following on their channel, you know. And it's whether they hear forbear, you know. You like, you know, I always kept this in the back of my mind, you know. Because my videos are being uploaded on 2 different channels, my channel and our main camp channel, you know. And I get a lot more views over at the main camp channel than on my own page, you know. But nevertheless, if the main page wasn't there and I was just getting the select views I was getting on my own page, you know, some people could be weak in the face and be like, oh, you know what, I only get 2 views, you know, every 3 or 4 videos, so I'm going to just give up. Nah, you're supposed to keep pushing the word, whether they hear forbear, you know. You keep filling your page with content as if you had 1 million followers, you know. You're supposed to keep pushing their word out because, you know, the Most High is the one who say he giveth the increase. He see you out there doing the word, like, let's say for an instance, right? I'm putting up videos back to back, and, you know, on average I get 1 view. You know, for the majority of the time it's 0 to 1 views, you know. And if I was to, you know, be weak in the face and just be like, oh, I'm gonna give up, you know, that ain't what you're supposed to be doing. But however, if I was to continue on in that path and just still be fervent and on fire, Like, you know what, I'm only getting 1 or 2 views. It don't matter. I'm putting the word out. Whether they hear or whether they forbear, it's being put out there, you know. Who's not to say that the Most High at some point in time give you a massive increase of fruit, you know, a following. Now you got this massive increase of following, and you have a lot of content on your page to feed them with constantly, you know. You're not struggling to keep up and losing people because you can't keep up to their demands. You got a whole lot of things. So you got to look at things spiritually. Hey, man, the Most High commands you to do this, whether they hear it or whether they forbear it. He in control. He know what's going on here, all right? He got everything under control here, you know. It says, but thou, son of man, hear what I say unto thee. Be not thou rebellious like that rebellious house. Open thy mouth and eat that I give thee. Okay? So he said, don't be like that rebellious house. Eat what I give thee. All right? Open thy mouth and eat what I give thee. Look, go out there and do this work. I'm going to give you something, and I'm going to need you to go and flip it for me, you know? Okay? So like Jake like to be in drug dealers terms, you know, hey, man, I'm about to, your plug, okay? Your plug's going to give you some work. And he said, look, man, don't be sitting on this. Go out there and flip this and make some money with it. All right? That's essentially what this is all about, you know? This is what we doing. He giving us some work, and we going out there and we flipping it. And we trying to bring back more. All right? For all you Jason, that's another thing he say. It's like, look, man, we going to read it, but you're not going, matter of fact, well, you're not going to a strange tongue people, you know? Give it to your people how your people know how to get it. You know what I'm saying? They know how. I'm a Jake. They a Jake. I'm not going to dress it up to something to make it, you know, you ain't going to be able to recognize it like that, you know? It's hard for me to try to dress something up and be something that I'm not going to be. And it's going to be hard for you to receive something that's not so-called coded towards you that way, you know? Some Jake might not be able to understand, well, this is that and this. Like, look, man, y'all motherfuckers used to be drug dealers and shit. Lord willing that, you know what I'm saying, you trying to put away that old man. But see, you going to still remember terms like that, all right? So this how, you know, we going to feed it to you the same way you know it, you know? And people want to come up to us about cussing and stuff. 90% of the music you listen to is got filled with cussing. And if you hear the unedited version, you ain't going to want to hear it, you know? So we you know, like I said, we're going to get to that next couple of scriptures. Verse 9, it says, and when I looked, behold, a hand was set upon me, and lo, a roll of a book was therein. And he spread it before me, and it was written within and without, and there was written therein lamentations, mourning, and woe. So yeah, the message we bringing ain't gonna be good news all the time. Amen. Lamentations, mourning, and woe. Death, destruction, and more death and destruction, you know. And there's gonna actually be salvation, you know. There is also, you know, some comfort, you know. But, you know, that's, you know, for the elect, you know. This is Ezekiel 3:1, starting at the top. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat what thou findest, eat this roll, and go speak to the house of Israel. So I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. Okay, you watching these videos, that's you metaphorically eating the roll. Okay, the roll was the scriptures. All right, he was giving them the breakdowns and the understandings of these scriptures, like we're doing to you right now. We're reading the scriptures and we're breaking down each and every piece of it, dissecting it so you can eat it piece by piece. You know, like the milk and the meat parable. You know, this is what we're doing. We're chopping it up with you right now. You see, that's another Jake talk, so you can understand. We're chopping it up with each other. You know, it says. Verse 3, and he said unto me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat and fill thy bowels with this roll that I give thee. So indulge yourself in this, you know, like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, more or less to say. You know, I always tell people about this analogy. I say, look, y'all people go out there and diet and do all this exercise and shit for your body to be fit and all that. But what are you doing for your mind? Your mind is way more important than the rest of your body. You know, without your mind, the rest of your body can't function. But you can have a strong body and a weak-ass mind, and you ain't going to really be doing too well, you know. But, you know, and I say, you know, you diet with all, you know, you watch what you put in your mouth, but what about what you put in your ears, you know, or in your mind, your sight, you know. You sitting there and you watching twerking videos all day, that's what the fuck you going to be like. That's what your diet is going to consist of, you see. You that's all, you know, like when you overeat fatty foods, you become fat, right? You overindulge on twerking videos, that's what you become, you know. Hip hop, rap, drug dealing, that's what you become, you see. But when you when you in these scriptures all day, what do you think you becoming? You see, you devouring something. You still on a diet, but you want to diet of these scriptures, okay? Blessed is he that readeth, all right? And with all that get understanding. That's what he going into right here. It says, verse 3 again, he said to me, Son of man, cause thy belly to eat, and fill thy bowels with the roll that I give thee. Then did I eat in my mouth, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. All right? So, you know, and then they'll go further into that about the sweetness in his mouth, but nevertheless, the sweetness in his mouth was, when he first heard it, it was good to him. All right?
Verse 4, and he said unto me, Son of man, get thee to the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. All right? So basically, let me read verse 6. Not to many people of a strange speech or of a hard language, whose words thou cannot understand. Surely have I sent thee to them, they would have hearkened unto thee. All right? Basically saying, like, if I would have sent you to, if we speak English, we would have sent you some Chinese motherfuckers, they would have understood, parabolically. It's not actually talking about different languages in that construct, but in a different sense, And as you hear how we kind of struggle to read this so-called Old English, but when we go to break it down and interpret it, it kind of rolls off our tongue a little better, And we sometimes, again, like I was referring to earlier, mix it in with Jake slang, you see? And that's why I say I ain't sent you to a hard tongue or strange people who can't understand you. It ain't going to be a hard thing to break it down to these people. You see what I'm saying? It's easy to break down hell to a Jake who going through hell every damn day than to break it down to an Edomite who living in heaven all day, you see? Jake already understand the oppression that he going through. It ain't hard for him to understand that because, hey, man, he already understand that talk. He already understand what it means being the white man is the devil. We all understand that from the things we went through, you see? It's an easy tongue for him to understand because that's the shit they go through. You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's like when so-called white people look at black folks and they be like, oh, I can't stand these people living in the projects, the ghettos, and this, and that. You have to ask them a serious question like, yo, any of those people living over there, you think if they had all the money in the world, they would still be living in the condition they live in it now? And it would take, it stumbles in their mind. They don't realize that they don't want to be there, They want to be somewhere better. They're not in those conditions because that's how they like the conditions to be. They didn't create the ghetto and decorate it that way, But nevertheless, that's a hard speech for an Edomite to understand. They don't understand those ways. Like, we don't understand their ways of fucking sleeping with animals. You see what I'm saying? We don't understand that. That's reprobate to us. They try to convince us of the shit, Verse 7, but the house of Israel will not hearken unto thee, for they will not hearken unto me, for they are the house of Israel, all the house of Israel are impudent and hard-hearted. Behold, I have made thy face strong against their faces, and their foreheads strong against their foreheads. So yeah, they ain't gonna quite hear this off rip, You gonna have to keep pushing hard at them sometimes, As an adamant harder than the flint have I made thy forehead. Fear not them, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. So look, don't fear what they got going on, and don't be dismayed that you ain't getting no views or nothing like that. Hey man, you still got to be pushing. Okay. I'm gonna jump down to verse 17. It says, Ezekiel 3:17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman into the house of Israel. Therefore hear the words of my mouth and give them warning for me. Okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing. This is a commandment. The Most High say, hey, look, go out to the highways and the byways and warn them that I'm about to kill their ass if they don't get right, When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked ways to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but the blood will I require at your hand. So yeah, the Most High say, listen, when I tell that nigga he finna die, and you don't tell him he finna die, then the nigga still finna die, but if you gonna have to pay for his iniquities, you see? But the blood gonna be on your hand. But if I tell, let me keep reading. Yet if you warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked ways, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. Yeah, so if they hear whether they forbear, tell him anyway, because if you tell him, and he still keep going off, the Most I say, I'm still destroy his ass, but you gonna be alright, because you didn't let his ass know. Alright? Verse 20. And again, when the righteous man doth turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because thou hast not given him warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which hath been done shall not be remembered, and his blood will I require at thy hand. Nevertheless, if thou wilt warn the righteous man, and the righteous sin not, and doth not sin, he shall surely live, because you have warned him, and thou hast delivered thy soul. Okay? So basically, basically he's supposed to go out there and give him warning, or else the blood was going to be on his hand. All right? I got a couple more scriptures. I'm going to make a part 2 to this. I'll be right back.